Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs to call me sire. To hold my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock up.
Well, nothing much going on there in East Tennessee, I guess, huh? Wow. Tennessee number 1 in the nation. That's your down and dirty at 30, brought to you today by Andy Mason Real Estate, andymasonrealestate.com. Do not lose thousands of dollars in your next real estate transaction. Andy Mason and andymasonrealestate.com, over 40 years of service to you in the real estate field. And Andy Mason is fantastic. andymasonrealestate.com. 2 tenants, best service, best price, period, end of discussion. Nug says, it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. John says, subscribe, share, and like. Yes, subscribe, share, and like. Hit that like button. We certainly appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't already. The number's through the roof, and we thank you greatly. Wow. Amanda and I did a post-game show for a television show, which would have seemed really weird 20 years ago, but now the college football playoff show is a thing. And while it's somewhat a made-for-television event at this point, the last one is the only one that matters. Tennessee is number 1, and Tennessee fans celebrate. You should do like Josh Heupel said. Take a moment to savor. That doesn't mean that you get hammered the rest of the week, and that doesn't mean that Tennessee's players take the rest of the week off practice. But go ahead and take some time and enjoy this one regardless of what happens at Georgia, because it's been a long way coming, and it's way ahead of schedule. Amanda LaFratta, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
I'm well. Still a little stunned. Still woke up, and the first thing that went through my mind is this morning, is Tennessee still number 1? Did I dream that? I mean, it really is kind of in that in that sort of mindset with me. And I'm curious your thoughts. Now, we did a post-game show. If you want to check that out, you can, but you'll hear a lot of the same sentiment right here. Your thoughts on Tennessee being number 1? Shoot.
So I do think, and I'll give you 2 different kind of, viewpoints. I do think that Tennessee is number 1 in the nation. I don't think there's a team out there that can beat them at this point. My reservations about this playoff committee and their selections is that it seems like the way they selected was to end up with the 4 best teams, yes, but they selected to have, upsets, basically. So putting Tennessee at 1 and Georgia at 3, that's not a hard thing to do considering they play each other this weekend. Putting Michigan again at 5 and Ohio State at 2, yes, they'll end up playing each other, but I think that was a little disrespectful to Michigan. And putting Clemson at 4, it's like they've set this up so that Clemson, if they win out, they're in regardless. And that shouldn't be the case because they put, 2 SEC teams. So it seems like to me they're going to be at the end 2 SEC teams. Then they put 1 Big Ten team in there and 1 ACC team. So it seems like they're already setting that up. And by putting TCU at number 7, it seems to me like you're going to see 2 SEC teams, 1 Big Ten team, and 1 ACC team, no matter how it turns out.
Yeah, and I do think there are some agendas that go out there in terms of television viewers. I think you'll see that in week 2. I think that you will see some movement. I think Tennessee deserves to be number 1. So please, those out there, don't misread this. But I do think that that's a good story. And putting them at number 1, shaking things up heading into the Georgia game, which does Tennessee no favors. They'd be better off 3 going into the game and Georgia number 1. it doesn't do Tennessee any favors. But I do think that was the best story, and that's the best body of work. And you and I talked midday, and really didn't discuss it much on the show yesterday, but I thought they would be number one for those two reasons. Now, the question that you immediately have to ask yourself, Amanda, is are they affected by being number one and taking on the number 3 team in the nation? Because suddenly the script has been flipped, and that's not good.
No, I mean, we've already seen them take on the number 3 team in the nation at one point this season. The thing that is worrisome to me is not the way that Tennessee is going to react to this. I think Tennessee is going to be completely fine. They're going to be playing the same if they're taking on the number 3 team or they're taking on the number 15 team. It doesn't matter. They're going to play the same. They're very composed. I know we talked about this yesterday. The problem to me is how much is Georgia going to get up for this game now that number 1 spot has not only been taken over by someone else, but somebody that they literally hate. I mean, they're going to get up to play for this game. And I don't know if they would have before that, because it looks like they're just coasting through and there's not been like a real come to Jesus meeting for Georgia yet. This could be that come to Jesus meeting. That's my worry.
It could. I mean, it could. And as far as the talent level, I would still say 1 to 85 that Georgia is a bit more talented than Tennessee, but it's not as a discernible difference as I thought before the season. So let's look at the rest of the college football playoff and the rankings. And for some reason, guys, I'm having some sort of trouble with my chat board. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm seeing a login for my email, which can you see that on your end, Amanda LaFratta? Any idea why that's there?
I don't see a login. I can see everything.
You can see the chats?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Well, I can't for some reason. This has never happened before. It just popped up as some weird screen. So why don't you go ahead and read 4, 5, 6, 7 chats that you think are pertinent? We'll go to you. Just let's go to the callers. So
okay.
You can go ahead and read 4 or 5. We want to get your thoughts, and you're a part of the community and the family, and we love that. So like, subscribe, and share. And go ahead and shoot, Amanda, and then we'll go through the rest of the top 6, 8, 10, somewhere in there.
Okay, so Trevor saying Nolan Smith out for Georgia. They're for sure blitzing a bunch now. Yes, I agree with that. Crazy Nugs. Amanda, if last year was a rebuilding year for Alabama, what is this year? This is a bad coordinator year. That's what that's called, Crazy Nugs.
I can't argue with that.
No. That very well could end up burning Georgia big time if Tennessee is ready for that. I think he's talking about the rankings. That's Trevor again. John saying rebuilding part 2. Oh, that's to Alabama. Kevin the Bacon, have a Zoll beer and move on.
That's right. Zollbeer.com, xulbeer.com is the official craft beer of Off the Hook Sports. So any others out there that you want to get to, or do we want to continue to break down the college football playoff ranking?
So Jamie said playing Tennessee this Saturday, Georgia was going to be motivated anyway. I think maybe a little bit, but I feel also that Georgia is going to get up more because they feel disrespected. I think teams tend to do that when you disrespect them. And do not think for a second that Kirby Smart and his staff is not going to use. They're not going to use the they put you at third, they're disrespecting you kind of thing. They're going to use that. That's going to be taped all over their locker room this morning. I guarantee it.
No question. I have zero question that is the case. Does it really affect the game? I've said this before. I think when you get disrespected, that it maybe motivates you in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practices, because those are the 3 toughest. The Thursday is pretty much just a walkthrough. So once the ball is kicked off, I don't think that it has any effect at all. However, I think that it can get you fired up for a Wednesday practice, maybe a little bit more in tune. And I think there are some psychological aspects to football and sports, but for the most part, football more than any other sport, the best team wins more times than not, because it's a physical game. It's a mano-a-mano game. It's not like, you mentioned the World Series before we went on the air. There was a tip there that they felt like they were reading pitches. If you want to go in the college basketball tournament, the NCAA tournament, you can get a team that is streaky and hitting a ton of threes. There's a lot of different things that can happen in other sports that just don't happen in football. I don't think you can overcome as easily in football if you're the lesser team. I think the lesser team has to lose the game. And Tennessee may do that. Tennessee hasn't shown that to this point, but there's certainly that possibility they could have a bad game, have some turnovers, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like a very focused team right now. So as far as the rest of the college football rankings, I'm just going to run some off, and you tell me some that you're not so crazy about. Ohio State in at number 2. I'm going to use a baseball reference, and I can't remember who said this to me and if we've talked about it on the air, but I think what you're going to see is an AL-NL type of division between the Big Ten and the SEC. And I don't know if that gets resolved anytime soon. It took, 80 years for interconference play in baseball, but Ohio State had to be at 1 or 2. Period. End of discussion. Whether or not you believe it, from their perspective and the optics of it, they had to be at 1 or 2. So they're at 2. Do they deserve it? We could certainly make that argument. Georgia, and feel free to jump in here if you've got some strong thoughts on any of these. Georgia at number 3, as we mentioned. Clemson at number 4. Here's my strong thought, which you alluded to. I would have Michigan above Clemson. I don't think Michigan's great, but they're getting fantastic quarterback play. Georgia is not. That in and of itself, when I look at those two teams, and body of work is important, but they also have admitted, Amanda, they factor in eye test. And if eye test is a factor, I think that Michigan is significantly better than Clemson. I think Alabama is significantly better than Clemson, despite having a loss. I'll be frank with you, I have not seen TCU a lot. So, but I would have Clemson. The one that stands out to me most of all as being out of place from both an optics standpoint. Well, maybe not optics, because you include the ACC, which means you have 3 conferences represented. But the one that stands out to me from a football standpoint as being in the wrong place is Clemson at number 4. I think Michigan and Alabama are significantly better. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with that. As Vols time just said, I believe TCU received the short end of the stick. I do as well. I think TCU, based on eye test, looks better than Clemson does, and they're undefeated. And I think that should play a factor. The undefeated aspect should play a factor, but again, TCU doesn't play much competition. Clemson plays no one. So I think my thing about the way that it was set up is it's set up so that there's an ACC team in the playoffs if they don't drop a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you're supposed to look at the 4 best teams. You're not supposed to look at the one best team in each conference, and then when one conference is just dominant, you put 2 in there. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the 4 best teams in the playoffs. And right now, Clemson does not fit that mold. I don't care if they're an ACC team. I don't care what division they're in. Clemson does not fit that mold.
Let's take a look at TCU's schedule for just a second. Okay, so they beat here are the significant wins. They beat number 18 Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma slipped. Definitely not the 18th best team in the nation now. You beat number 19 Kansas at the time. That's a more respectable program that you might be aware of. They beat number 8 Oklahoma State. Took 2 overtimes, but that's a significant win. And then they beat number 17 Kansas State. Now, these are all rankings at the time that they played them. So that's a pretty impressive schedule. when I look at the rest of their schedule, though, is TCU the bugaboo that Cincinnati was last year? And I don't mean this as a shot. They deserve it. But I didn't think that Cincinnati could hang with any of the college football playoff teams that played. And there was a clear drop-off after the top 3, in particular, the top 2 last year. So they're going to play Texas Tech at Texas, at Baylor, and then they're going to finish the season with Iowa State, the regular season. They very well could be undefeated. If that happens and Clemson goes undefeated with a terrible schedule, then we had the discussion, Amanda, about the SEC getting 3 teams in. And somebody told me that was close to this committee, said 2's an ask. Okay, two is an ask. 3 is impossible. But if you have TCU run the table, Clemson run the table, and then we assume the winner of the Michigan-Ohio State game is in, then the second SEC team might get left out. There's a real possibility of that.
I think we've seen that they're going to leave out, especially the thing that you really look at is that they put a 1-loss SEC team above TCU. They put Alabama above TCU. And so if they're willing to do that now, then they're going to be willing to keep TCU out of it. I mean, if they go undefeated and they still consider a 1-loss SEC team better than an undefeated TCU, they're going to keep TCU out of it. What's going to need to happen is TCU is going to have to stay undefeated and win out, and Clemson's going to have to drop. That's what's going to happen. Clemson, and I think, again, as somebody just alluded to, Jamie said Clemson was a politically correct move. I agree with that. That was exactly what they did because they felt the need to represent the 3 biggest conferences, the SEC, ACC, Big Ten. They had to represent all of them. But I think that Clemson's going to drop the game this weekend against Notre Dame. And if Clemson drops one, if TCU drops one, what are you looking at after that?
Oh, well, then I think 2 SEC teams make it, clearly. Yeah. So,
well, I think they do anyway, but
well, if TCU and Clemson wins out, I think there will be 1 SEC team in it, as much as I hate to say it.
I don't think so, just because they've ranked a 1-loss SEC team ahead of TCU.
But remember, again, you have to come back to this point. This is not like the AP. And do you remember when you used to, as a kid, watch the AP and they'd have the rankings come out? You'd see a team climb, and they did have to climb. Somebody ahead of them had to lose. That's not really the case anymore. A team can play poorly in front of them. And I've seen the college football playoff make some pretty massive shifts, not based off a loss, but how a team played. So that's not going to affect Tennessee, Georgia, unless one team just shows up completely flat. But let's say, for instance, kind of proves your point and mine at the same time, even though they're not exactly the same. But let's say Clemson barely beats Notre Dame. Clemson barely beats Notre Dame 13-10. It's an ugly game, and they look like hot garbage. Okay, well, then Clemson could drop. Other than that, if they win out and TCU is able to win out, I think what this college football playoff committee would like is to have 4 conferences represented. I think they want this 4-team playoff to be over as soon as possible and get to 12 so they can eliminate some of these conversations.
Because I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I mean, I bet everybody in that group is like, holy gravy, can't we please get to 12 teams like yesterday? And if that happens, then you eliminate a lot of these conversations. However, as of this point, I think if TCU and Clemson win out, it might be some massive move where a 1-loss team like Alabama is ahead of TCU, and then in the last ranking, they don't include them, or a 1-loss Georgia or a 1-loss Tennessee. That could be the case. But if TCU runs the table based off getting Cincinnati in last year, if Clemson runs the table, and you don't think they will, I think they will, then I think they want to have as many conferences in there. It goes back to politics. I'm not saying it's right, Amanda, but it does go back to politics in a lot of ways in that they want multiple conferences represented.
See, I think as somebody just alluded to, sorry, I got to get their name. John, he said that the playoffs are made for TV production. They will choose the 4 teams out of the top 5 or 6 that they feel will draw the highest TV audience. I agree with that. And the reason why I agree with that is because when we saw them try to include all 4 conferences or 3 conferences or however many they included, I can't remember. They put Washington in there one year.
Mm-hmm.
And Alabama played Washington. And I think it was Alabama, Washington, Ohio State, and Clemson, I'm pretty sure. So 4 conferences were represented. And they put Washington in there, and that fell completely flat. I think last year they didn't have a choice but to put Cincinnati in there. I don't think there was anybody else that was even close to be able to go in. Now, I agree. I think they're going to go with what will be best for TV ratings and what will make the most money. So if that comes down to having undefeated TCU in there, or a 1-loss Georgia, or a 1-loss Alabama, or a 1-loss Tennessee, they're going to pick that 1-loss SEC team. That's just common sense, money-wise. They're going to pick the 1-loss.
You're right. Average college football fan can name how many players on TCU's roster?
It's none.
None. Okay, so if you're looking for, there are 2 ways to go about it from a TV perspective. One, you get the TV market, so theoretically you get the Big 12 markets in there, right? Theoretically, okay.
Yes.
The other way to go about it is the most scintillating matchups. Well, if you want the sexiest teams out of this, I can go ahead and tell you the 4 sexiest teams, and I'm basing this off fan base support. That's going to be, I'll tell you the 5. Tennessee, Tennessee in no particular order, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson. Those are your 6 that you would choose from if you're just looking for scintillating good TV talk that average college football fan is going to say, oh boy, Clemson plays Michigan tonight in the semifinal. They're watching it more than TCU.
Well, yeah.
That's why. So if they go about it that way, then I don't know what's in their heads. Theoretically, you should just pick the 4 best teams.
That's my point. You should pick the 4 best teams, but they're not going to, because they don't want 3 teams in one conference in a 14 playoff. Now, when it comes to 12, I think you'll have 4 SEC teams in there probably. But right now, they don't want 3 SEC teams in a 14 playoff. And that, I guess that's understandable, but I think keeping somebody out who is one of the top 4 teams is doing a disservice to what this is intended to be.
I agree. But I'm going to give them a little bit more. I'm going to give them a lot more credit than AP voters, who I think sometimes roll out of bed Sunday, and some of them. We have John Adams on our YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, and share, and you'll hear about John Adams, who picked Tennessee to beat Alabama, picked Tennessee to run the table, beat Georgia, and picked Tennessee to beat Alabama a second time. I know that John spent 2 or 3 hours every Sunday morning. It's why he said he'd never be an AP voter again, because he really, really dove deep into it, all the way down to 23, 24, 25. So, but a lot of voters just roll out of bed and they do that. You got to climb the polls. Climb the polls is stupid. You know what climb the polls is based off of? Preseason. If Tennessee goes out there, okay, if Michigan goes out, okay, Clemson, let's say Clemson. If Clemson goes out there and they beat Notre Dame 78-0, that should be a major move up, right? Correct. It should. But the AP days, a lot of the voters would just look at it and say, oh, it's just a win. I'll move them up a little bit. I'm exaggerating with the 78. But the college football playoff should look at it each and every week as body of work. I think they're better at that than the AP is. I think they have
Yeah.
not a lot, but a little.
No, I think you're right. They're better than that, than the AP is, because I think the AP's voters have just been sitting at this spot doing this every single year, that it just gets, they know what they're supposed to do, basically. It just gets boring after a time. You don't have a new voter in there that's like, let's shake it up, you know? No one in there is trying to shake it up. Everybody's like, yeah, you know. I mean, that's just how it goes. But there's some people who are commenting, and Brittany said she doesn't understand how the playoff committee comes together, who they pick, how they select it. I don't either, Brittany. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know who's on it. One time Condoleezza Rice was on it. That's all I know. That's all I know. And then we have Josh, who I think is from, I think he's a Clemson fan, actually. And he's saying that he can't believe that Jalen Hyatt got out of South Carolina without an offer from South Carolina or Clemson.
No, that's true. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely true. That was a monster pickup. So we'll take a look at the committee. I thought I had that pulled up, but as far as the committee members, I will pull that up before the end of the show. It's time for today's tough question, and it's brought to you by our friends at Guardian Investments. Guardian Investments, in a world where knowledge is power, education is the battery that makes it run. At Guardian Investment Advisors, they believe in doing what they can to help their clients meet your retirement goals, but they also want to educate you so you know exactly what your money is doing and why it's going there as opposed to there or there or there. They are fantastic. They will take care of you. And in this day and age of video conferencing, you can set up an appointment at GIAplantoday.com, GIAplantoday.com. I know that YouTube tends to be a little bit younger. So people, I'm telling you, I can tell you firsthand, now that I'm 32 years old, you need to go ahead and make those plans so you'll be set up. Today's tough question is now, and it's brought to you by Guardian Investment Advisors.
We do our research. Have you done your research?
We're working like heck.
Today's tough question. What's the real debate?
You sipping my Soupe Guadalupe?
Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker and Amanda LaFratta.
You drinking my sake, kimosabi?
Oh my God.
All right, Amanda LaFratta. This is one I had. And we got to do this pretty quickly because I want to get to Ron Slay here in a moment. What college football playoff team are you most concerned about? So if we want to take 2, 3, 4, and 5, how about that? What team scares you the most? How about that? Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Michigan. And it's one of those that I wish we could have 6 on the Twitter, but we can't.
I hope that Guardian Investment is better with math than you are, Dave, at the age of 32.
Yes, they are.
Okay, good. So I was thinking kind of along the lines that you were thinking. I was thinking which team isn't ranked correctly, like which one stands out as being not ranked in the right spot.
I can roll with that. You put it together. We'll ask Ron Slay about that right after this. Stay tuned. We will be back in 2 minutes. Today's tough question. We'll get that out there and get your thoughts. Brought to you by Guardian Investment Advisors. 2 minutes and Ron Slay. Be fantastic. Talk about energy. He's got it. More after this. Stay tuned. 2 minutes.
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's repair.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, where Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This day in sports history, putting things in perspective. Exclusive.
Hey guys,
What?
you ready to let the dogs out?
What?
Do what? Let the dogs out. You know, like, who let the dogs out? Who?
Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. Always available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Always available wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
All righty, here we go. My favorite time of the week. It's Ron Slay of 104.5 The Zone. He's got his Tennessee shirt on. He's rocking it. He's dancing it. He's feeling the flow. Ron, Tennessee has the number 1 football team in the nation. Thoughts? I don't want to know what's in that cup.
Well, you know, it's been a long time coming, man. Been down in the dumps, man, for quite a while. And, you know, we was sitting there burning in the parking lot. You know, and it felt like it was an amusement park. It felt like everybody was walking by looking at the dumpster and pointing and laughing. Look at them, look at them, look at them. And see, now we're sitting right there on the edge of the dumpster with my feet dangling. And I'm watching these other schools like Auburn. They're getting ready to go through it. They better get right. They better hit right. But outside of that, hey, man, this right here is beautiful. First of all, let me say this. Fans should be taking a victory lap. It is okay. It is okay to celebrate the small victories along the journey. Nothing is wrong with that. People are saying, oh, man, y'all need to act a certain way. Why? Like, why do we need to act a certain way? I can't get that in my head for nothing. Second, the things that the fans say, the way that the fans celebrate, the way they go at other fan bases has nothing to do with the product and the players on the field. Just because the fans are rabid, and I'm one of them. I go wild. It is what it is. I'm okay with it. But to go and act like that's a reflection of the team is dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. You don't get any more humble group than what you have, especially from the leader, with that being Hypo and that trickling on down to a guy like Hendon Hooker. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard anybody come across him that says, man, he's not humble. He's not taking this in stride, not, you know, giving out credit to where it's due. You know, he always uplifts his teammates and things of that nature. So this is fan based. You got to keep it right there. I don't want this to get mixed in with the players and the team and what they're doing, because honestly, when I was in school, this was way worse with the players. Like Like, I'm not sure how Georgia players, Alabama players carry themselves being ranked number one and winning national championships. But I know the school I went to at Tennessee, they walked around like they were number one at all times. And if you thought anything else, they were going to let you know and were fine with letting you know. And then was fine with punching you in the mouth on Saturday when it came to it. So, I mean, this is a totally different regime. You know what I mean? Totally different kid, totally different generation, totally different team than what was going on in the past. So, man, let them enjoy it and let us fans enjoy it too. If you want to poke fun at somebody, poke fun at the fans, and they better be able to take it.
Absolutely. Ron Slay's appearance brought to you by Zach England. Zach's got your back when it comes to restoring lives and protecting rights. Zach England of Best and Brock, and he's your personal injury attorney in the Chattanooga area, and he will take care of you. He'll take on the insurance companies because I promise you they got big-time lawyers. Zach England is a big-time lawyer. Zach's got your back. He brings you our weekly visit with Ron Slay. And Ron, let me ask you this. I'm sure that Georgia has the rankings, as Amanda said earlier. I'm sure they have the rankings posted all over their workout facility. They're now, if you want to go by rankings, the underdog. Vegas still says they're the favorite, but
right.
Is that a motivational factor for a team to get theoretically slighted 4 days before the game?
I mean, in a sense it is. I think you can look at it as grabbing your attention. I don't think you necessarily, because like I said, even with all of the hoopla going on around it, whether it's media or whoever it is, whatever its base is, it's not coming from the team. I think when you look at it, it's more, I think Kirby walked away from the press conference looking at his players like, hey, man, what are you up there talking about tempo for? Like what was said on Monday, like I looked at that as more like ammunition for Tennessee because they've been dealing with that when it comes to Kentucky and everything. But in this case, you have the rankings coming. The rankings are the rankings. I mean, every coach, if you want to grasp onto that, that'll last leading up to the game. When kickoff arrives, that goes out the window. So if it was some player coming out saying, hey, man, we're number one, Georgia really ain't nothing, then that's different. You can carry that throughout the entire fight of the game because you're looking for that guy on the field. When you go over there on the sideline, you get tackled on the sideline, you probably going to get up and say something to him. Like, you can do that. But with the media, I don't think so, man. And if you needed that for motivation, then, hey, man, it's tough out here then. It's tough out on here, especially in the SEC every Saturday. If you need the media to get your motivation for you to go out there and whoop a team, then yeah, you in the game for the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? Now, focus-wise, I say, yeah, that's a good way to grab their attention. You know, I would definitely use it. But, man, they understand it. They understand it.
So we saw the rankings come out, and we know I know you just touched on this a little bit, but who do you think, this is our today's tough question, who do you think that the playoff committee ranked incorrectly? Who do you think either should have been higher or lower, but what was the most, like, the biggest travesty in your opinion? So
to me, man, and I don't want to be SEC biased, but man, I just Clemson, they can't do it for me. No. That's tough. TCU, I just like I love what they're doing. You know, then the fought back, came back in games. I just can't see putting them over Alabama. I don't see Alabama doing anything wrong to not. I mean, he lost to Tennessee. I mean, you know what I'm saying? On the road in a 3-point game, it was a barn burner in the fashion that you lost in, and it was recent. You know what I'm saying? It would be different if this was the Georgia and the Oregon game earlier. I could be like, okay, I understand that don't really count. You know what I'm saying? But this is recent history. So I think, man, Clemson, they haven't really played anybody, and it's not their fault. It's just happened to be the conference that they're in. You know, it's just a little weaker right now. If Pitt was coming back and doing exactly what they were doing last year, I think it would have more of an impact on them once they show down with them. But it's tough, man. It's tough to get rankings together, and then now you got to get 6. But if anybody was slighted, I feel TCU is a little too high, and I feel Clemson is a little too high.
Ron, some of the years kind of run together, but when I look at this college football playoff show, I think of the NCAA Selection Sunday show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different, obviously,
Right.
for a lot of different reasons. But was that a motivating factor, or in some ways a deterrent? Maybe got you guys a little bit too cocky because you were rated too high. Did the rankings ever affect you guys going in the NCAA basketball tournament?
No, I do think you look at it and it's kind of like when you get the rankings, the matchups that you get. Like I felt my sophomore year going against a team like Charlotte on the road, it was going to be tough. It was going to be tough against us. We were kind of down. We felt like we should have been ranked higher, but it was a downward spiral throughout the rest of the SEC season, dropping from number 4 on down and then just going up and down. So we were kind of dejected ourselves. That had more to do with it than the ranking. The ranking just kind of put the icing on it. It was like, oh man, we got to deal with this. But I think going into my freshman year when we made the Sweet 16 run, winning the SEC, I think everything was warranted. And I thought that we felt we still had something to prove. It's different when you get a high ranking and you've never been there versus you getting a high ranking and you've been there before. I think that's the difference with this Tennessee football team. They're getting this high ranking. They ain't never been there. They don't know how to act. All they know is continue doing what you've done to get to this point. If this was year 2 and we came into it and we were ranked number 1 when the college football playoff came out, it's kind of like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Take a deep breath. Like, this is where we belong. You know what to expect moving forward. So it's taken differently by each team. As far as basketball goes, it really didn't affect us. Yeah, I think you take it more as a disrespect, but like I said, that has nothing to do with the players the team that you're going to play. It's more a shot at who was voting. You know what I mean? That's what we used to point all of that. Like, it was the media who was part of it. Like, we can't wait to talk to them. We want to take it out on them, but it had nothing to do with the hook. You know this. It had nothing to do with the team that we were getting ready to play, though. So, you know, it is what it is in that scenario.
Who was the guy that on that Charlotte team that was really, really good that got picked in the first
Rodney
half?
White.
Yeah. Okay. I interviewed
Rodney
White, and I was going to try to run you down, but you had already done your press conference, and I was going to tell you this because I like you. But I remember interviewing him and turning off the microphone and then asking him, I said, because they were the underdogs.
Yeah.
And I remember asking him, I was like, hey, I sense a lot of confidence here. You really think you're going to win, don't you? And he goes, yeah, man, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I was going to try to find you and tell you that.
I wish you would have. That would have helped. That would have helped. that would have helped tremendously.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like, we didn't really know who Charlotte was. I mean, I knew him because a partner of mine, Joby Thomas, the 2 guard for them, could really shoot the ball. I knew him. We were in the same class. He may have been a year ahead of me. But as far as Rodney White goes, we never knew who Rodney White was. We just knew him climbing up the draft board. We were like, man, who is this dude? You know, watching film and everything, the film doesn't really give you who they are. You got to kind of get out there and see them and kind of fill them out. Rodney was a problem. 6'8", 6'9", playing the 2, 3, 4. But I'm gonna tell you what happened in that game, and not to go away from convo, but Rick Pitino was doing the color commentary for that game.
I interviewed him too. That was weird. Go ahead.
Rick was the problem. Rick distracted us. I don't even think he was knowingly did this. They set them right beside our bench. Like, usually you're on the opposite side of the court, so you can't hear the commentators or anything. And maybe it was just me, but we didn't like Rick Pitino. You know, you got the Kentucky things going on, you know, and we just didn't like him. And the way he was talking, he was talking upset, like, the entire time. Like, and we could hear
during
him
the game.
During the game.
And could you hear it?
I could hear him. You know, I sit right next to the coaches because I want to go in quick. So I can sit there and hear. I'm sitting there like, dude, why are you talking like this? Like, we up in this game. What are you talking about? Well, just be ready. Man, Charlotte can make a run. They can come back. Tennessee's known to go up and down and get. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about, dog? You supposed to, a color commentator color commentator is supposed to dissect the game and tell what's happening in the game, not be talking about the teams. That's not necessarily what you're supposed to do. That's the broadcaster's job. So I'm just like, man, and I'm gonna be honest, man. I know I definitely got a little distracted from it, and I started listening to it. And when it started happening, and things started to go downhill. We sitting there in the timeout, like, oh man, you can hear them in the timeout. We was in Dayton. The gym wasn't that packed at that time because we were playing an early game, and you could just hear everything he said. I'm like, hey man, who put these men beside us, dog? Like I wanted to throw a towel over there on them and everything. Like, oh man, it bothered me so much. So yeah, he distracted me. I'm gonna be honest.
So speaking of distractions, I'm gonna break some news here. Tennessee wide receiver was taken into custody Tuesday, October 18th. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Don't hurt my feelings, man.
Yeah.
Tennessee wide receiver arrested in domestic assault incident. This was published today and updated moments ago. Okay. So incident involved number 42, Cayman Marley, and his girlfriend, according to the report. This is by Channel 8. I don't know who that is, but his preliminary hearing, he was taken into custody and charged with domestic assault. And his preliminary hearing on November 14th.
Yeah. So this.
Speaking of distractions. Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of distractions, what did you have to deal with any of these kind of things, and what can a team do to get away from this kind of look?
It's difficult with football because there's so many. Basketball was a little bit different. You know, it was 12 of us, 13 at the most. And you kind of were a close-knit bunch. I'm sure football is too, but it's just it's a lot of football players, man. Like even guys that don't dress out, like walking around when the guys at the hotel, you're like, dude, what you doing here in the dorm? You know, you're supposed to be gone, but it's just so many for them to keep tabs on. So basketball wise, as far as dealing with any distractions, we didn't really, we honestly, my freshman and sophomore year with Coach Green, he honestly did a great job of deflecting, like whether it would be fans that would point fingers or if things get caught up in the media. He did a great job of kind of shielding us from that. And not a lot of times, some of the times maybe the players were at fault. But he did do a good job of, you know, getting us wrangled back in and, you know, trying to keep our eyes on the prize. You know, we did have a situation with T. Harris that went down. That was right before I got there though. And that kind of went away with play, you know, in a sense. You know, just go out there, do your job, man, keep your nose clean. Everybody makes mistakes. I think that's one of the things when you start talking about kids getting paid, this, that, and the other, you kind of forget about mistakes being made growing up. You know, you just don't want to be as drastic, but you still want to have room for improvement, you know, and if you don't slam the door on somebody, then you do have room for improvement. If you come down on them, hey, man, this is over, get them out of here, then, you know, there is no room for figuring it out or improvement. You know, hopefully it's nothing too detrimental to the character or anything. So it's a shame that happens. It happens in every program. It happens at work. It happens in people's everyday life. It happens at school, and you're still dealing with guys that are 17 to 22 years old. I mean, if you walk up and down the strip, it's probably happened at the Shell gas station, you know, with workers. It's just more of a highlight on it. So I think coaches do a good job.
I think it was the Rocky Top.
Rocky Top Market, baby. Yeah, you better know it.
No.
You go out there after any big wing, this guy's sitting out there on the corner eating Rocky Top wings. Like,
yeah, the wings.
Wow.
And they had the hot dogs.
Yep.
And at one point, if you remember, James Banks, the police officer, knocked on his window and said, "Hey, can you please turn that down?" And he said he turned it up.
Yeah.
And after that, the football players were not allowed to go to the Rocky Top Market.
Yep.
But the thing I do love about this team is getting back to what you said earlier, and I want to talk some hoops. But this team is humble, and you talked to a lot of people behind the scenes. We have Cooper and Jacob on our YouTube page. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I really believe genuinely that they are humble. And I will share a story with you that I think you'll find entertaining. So I'm texting Cooper to line up our weekly visits on Sunday, and I'm saying, yeah, let's push it back like 30 minutes because I'd like for the polls to come out to see if you guys move up. And he's like, okay. So we push it back, and it turns out while we're recording it, of course, the polls come out. So we didn't have it. And I texted him. I said, can you believe the polls came out right when we were doing the interview? So 24 hours later, Monday at noon, we texted it about Sunday at 1. Monday at noon, he said, where were we ranked? He didn't even care, Ron. I love that story. Yeah. He went to work. He went to practice. Didn't even think about it. Yeah. Saw my text and where were we ranked? He didn't know. He didn't even know. How great is that?
That's beautiful, man. That's a reflection of the coach. Like that's what you heard Hypo saying. Even coming into this year, the number on the side of your team doesn't matter to the end of the season. Like it's just. That's for us. That's for the fan base, and that's beautiful not to hear the players buying into that, man. Like, and I listen. When you start to get ranked high, you're gonna take a glance at, but not until you get all the way up. I think when we started to look at it, when we were ranked number 4 in the nation. We was like, hey, man, and I'm gonna tell you, that's another story later on down the line why we went haywire in that season, I believe, by looking at that ranking. But in this situation, I think these guys, man, they know. Like it'll be different if you were hiding. And Hypo already said that. We talked about it early in the week. We didn't know what we were going to be ranked at, but these guys are well prepared. Looking at it. So and you still got going into this game. You got Georgia still looking at Tennessee, regardless of the ranking. Like this is still Tennessee. I think you heard it from the press conference from their players. Like. Yeah, we understand, man, the tempo and everything. We're going to go out there and play our type of ball. I mean, at some point, man, you got to be able to swallow your pride, but you don't know to swallow your pride if you don't really know who you got. All that generation knows is you got a dumpster fire coming in here. They're going to trick it off at some point. That's just what they do. So, hey, man, rude awakening coming.
I love visiting with Ron Slade, brought to you by Zach England. Zach's got your back. Zach England of Best and Brock, restoring lives and protecting rights. He has got your back when it comes to personal injury cases. The insurance companies have big-time lawyers. You need a big-time lawyer. Zach's got your back. Zach England of Best and Brock. Keep that name in mind because if you need it, that's the guy to call. So as far as basketball,
yes.
What is the biggest challenge in replacing John Fulkerson? Is it leadership? Is it play? Is it something else? I don't know.
Biggest, I think consistency in everyday work, not necessarily what you're going to get as far as production on the court, because that can go up and down, but coming in ready to work as far as practice goes, how you carry yourself after practice, as far as going to get treatment, how you go about your day. If you're getting your rest, are you going to go to tutoring in time to get back to get a nap in before you go to workout? Are you checking in with your coaches and things of that nature? I think that's the biggest part of it. When you get a veteran guy, he knows the ins and outs. You know what I'm saying? Like you depend on guys like that where coaches, they can check in with you. They can check in with Forky and be like, Forky, man, how's the temperature of the team? And he can know it. Hey, man, I know Josiah's probably going through this. I know Zakai's probably feeling this way. I think that's the biggest thing that you miss as far as replacing. And hopefully you got guys like Josiah, Jordan James, and Santi getting ready to be seniors walking into that and kind of even having a more of their finger on the pulse of the team, because Josiah got to see it from the beginning, with the guys like Grant and them still being in touch with the program and how to change your body and everything. So I think that's the biggest thing, being able to do consistency work every day outside of game time. Game time is game time. The lights get bright. It is what it is. People show up. But it's the days, man, practice when you come in off a big win. What do you do on that Monday to get everybody back on track, knowing that you got a game coming up maybe Tuesday or whatever it may be? How do you get back refocused? And I think Fulky was a great representative of that.
What do you think of this group of post players?
I actually love them. I think this is the first time to me. I didn't see that work put in last year coming into the season. I think it was missing as far as not a knock on the coaching staff, but more so the coaching staff filling guys out. I think Coach Rod Clark has done a tremendous job of picking up the torch from Coach Lanier, who worked with the bigs, and I think it was a void there when Lanier left. And now Rod Clark, if I'm not mistaken, working with the bigs, coming in and doing it, and everybody on the coach staff. It might not even be Rod, it might be somebody else, but I think they have a good grasp on who these guys are and the guys understand who they are. Like you see Euros, he developed a hook. I've been screaming, please, as a 7-footer, get a hook shot. And you saw it in the Gonzaga game. Like, he looked really good down there with the hook shot and finishing around the rim. Olivier looking more comfortable, not having to depend on the 3-point shot, but being able to go score 20 from the elbow and in, and having that Adu, him mastering who he is, being able to have that touch and stretch the floor as a 7-footer. Big Tobe, him bringing some of his strength to the game. So those guys focusing in on who they are. I love this group. I think they all bring something different. I think it's difficult to scheme and scout for when you got different guys that can do different things. And this is not even talking about putting Josiah down at the 4 or Tariq Key down at the 4 and letting them post up if you wanted to go small. So very, very pleased. Physicality is there. I thought that was I thought Euros brought that a lot last year, and a lot of people didn't follow. But you see it with Olivier now. You see Adu has gotten stronger. Toby is a big brick wall down there. He's like an anchor. So that physicality is there. So you got dominance in the inside. Rebounding shouldn't be a problem.
Basketball's coming up. We know it's already here pretty much. But, and I know that's your sport, but we gotta spin it back to Georgia this weekend.
Bring it.
Yes. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions about Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about
puppy
them
dogs.
Early on in this season.
You can refer to them as puppy dogs, Amanda.
Pretty much. I talked about them early in the season. I didn't think that they were that good. I still don't think they're that good. What's your take on this Georgia Bulldog team? Do you think they're overrated, or what do you think's happening there?
Well, first on the ranking, I don't think they're overrated because they haven't done anything to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? As far as production and everything, I understand that when you're looking at stats and things, getting to the quarterback, you're not seeing what you see, but they haven't lost since winning the national championship. So I'm not going to penalize them for that. Do I think they've been tested? No. When your biggest test is Mizzou on the road, which if they didn't have dudes on their team, then they could have easily lost that game against Missouri. Mm-hmm. I think that is one of the things, whether they're all together or don't have the same amount, they still do have guys. So you got to respect that. Kent State game was another one where you like, hey, little head scratcher, like, man, Georgia, number one team, defense, this is what they do. They're supposed to be able to handle Kent State. So that's my biggest thing, man, them being tested. Florida game, that really didn't go as planned. Florida's trying to figure themselves out. So I just think, man, this team being tested, it's kind of difficult to put your finger on it. Like, who's testing them? You don't want to go with Oregon. That was game 1 of the season. Oregon didn't know who they were, so they took advantage of that and pounced on them and did what they were supposed to do. But leading up to this, I think this is the first true test when you look at the other side of it and you ask about Tennessee and them week in and week out. And the only thing I don't like about it is when Tennessee was going through this journey, the question was after every game, well, who have they played? Well, Florida really wasn't this. Well, Pittsburgh really wasn't a top 25 team. Well, you got, and the list went on and on. It's like, okay, well, then after Alabama, it was still, man, Kentucky going to come in and change the pace, man. You got to be ready. Like, it's like, okay, but nobody's asking a question about Georgia. Like, who has Georgia played? Who have they proven it against? So it's like, wow. So how do you even it out? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. Come Saturday.
Ron Slay, brought to you by Zach England of Best and Brock. Zach's got your back in personal injury cases. And Ron, I was flipping around the internet the World Wide Web. And this is like 3 a.m. because if you ever get and I sent Brent one about, I want him to write some stuff for the site at offthehooksports.com. You can check out. So if you ever get a direct message tweet from me at 3 a.m., I'm not out partying. I've had insomnia since I was like 28. So just know that I didn't text you because I didn't want to wake you up. But I may
happens all the time.
Yeah, I may send you a direct message. So Brent's going to write something for us, and looking forward to that. But so I'm messing around on the internet, and was that your son that was rapping?
Yeah, man. Hey. Yeah, I don't. Who knows where he gets it from? But
I mean, wow, how old is he? That was
just turned 12, man.
Just turned 12. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I appreciate it, man. It's wild to watch him, man. Try to tap into his talent, and like he wrote the song, wanted to go in the studio, been begging us for months. Like, man, let me get in the studio. Let me go do this. I need to lay this down. This, that, and the other. Then he shot a video for it, so video will be coming out soon. It's pretty impressive, man. I'm gonna be honest. It was a proud dad moment.
It was really strong, and I will just tell you that we are looking for a new hip intro for our young audience. If he wants to put something together,
I got you.
Don't call it hip.
Yeah, I'm 48.
He's 12. He doesn't even know what that is.
What would he call it, Ron? What would he call it?
I ain't got no clue, man. But I'm gonna ask him, and I guarantee he's gonna have an answer.
It ain't hip. I'm telling you that
hip,
right now. No. He's gonna be like a what?
Whatever the kids say now, Ron.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome, and keep up the great work. We appreciate you, and have a blessed day.
Man, I appreciate y'all. Hey, man, listen, puppy dogs, we coming. We coming, man. Friendlier than a box of puppies. They ain't gonna harm nobody, man. If you can't get out of the dog house, out of your air conditioning, your bags of ice, you don't want nothing with Smokey.
Ron, you do realize, and I will go on record with the maturity of this team. And I've gotten to know them as closely as anybody because of the NIL videos that we do. They are going to finish the season undefeated if they beat Georgia. Period.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Yeah, I think you get past Georgia, then it's gonna start to get nasty. Like I think it'll be points to be made, and I think it'll be a little bit personal when it gets to South Carolina. I think it'll be personal. I think when it gets to Vandy, for sure, it'll be personal. And I mean, do we got to even mention the other team? I mean, it is what it is, So, hey, listen, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I'm gonna have a ball. And if they checker Vanderbilt, like I've been seeing online, if they checker that stadium, prepare for me to lose my mind. I'm telling you right now, that better not happen.
By the way, I saw an ad that you could still get tickets for the Vanderbilt South Carolina game for $50. If I paid you $50, would you go to that game?
I'll go to the tailgate.
I'm not going. There's no way I'm going to that game. Somebody offered me $500. I wouldn't go to that game.
I'll catch you at the tailgate. I ain't going to the game.
Oh man, I mean, that just tells you how different a program is when you're packing the stands for UT Martin and you have to advertise $50.
Hey man, it's rough.
Be well, man.
I see you. Go Vols.
Yeah, so how much would I have to pay you? That's Ron Slay, brought to you by Zach England of Best and Brock. Zach's got your back. How much would I have to pay you to go to the South Carolina Vanderbilt game and sit through it all 4 quarters?
I don't think you have enough money.
I don't. I would take it. It would take 4 digits.
It depends on. Yeah. Do it. Can you put me in a box? Because then I can just chill and watch another game on TV, and I'm cool with that. If you put me in a box, I'll take 500 and go. But
no, the parameters are that you have to. You can't watch another game. You can't even look at your phone. You have to sit there and watch the 3.5 hours. What would it cost?
That's going to cost a few thousand. A few thousand. I can't even tweet about how bad it is.
Okay, I'll give you that. You can tweet about how bad it is.
Okay. Still a few thousand.
Yeah. Okay. Want to tell somebody, excuse me,
Ooh,
maybe second round of puberty there.
12 years old.
Yeah, I want to share something. In case I've mentioned it on the air, but I want to thank Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, their vision center. I had LASIK. It's now 13 days ago. I had a little bit of nearsightedness and farsightedness. I'd always had trouble seeing far away, but when you get older, you may need the readers. Well, this is how awesome they are at Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. They were able to adjust one eye that overcame one of the issues and another eye that overcame the other issues, and then your brain adjusts. That's the type of things that they do at Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, and they do it that's local. So you'll see a lot of advertisements, and the doctor might fly in from Florida. You'll see him. There's no personal local care. So Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn Vision Center. It's a Knoxville mainstay. Don't get thrown off by all the other people that are now advertising in the market that are not in the market. They're local. They care about you, a big part of the community. So 2 minutes this day in Tennessee sports history and more. Stay tuned. She's Amanda LaFratta. I'm Dave Hooker. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
It's Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This day in sports history, putting things in perspective, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFratta.
New kids on the block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
This day in sports history brought to you by Vassey Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Vassey Lawn and Garden has industrial mowers, commercial mowers. They have residential mowers, blowers. They've got it all. They've got what you need for your lawn. Toro, count on it. November the 2nd, 1996, Tennessee defeated South Carolina 31-14 in Columbia. Peyton Manning threw for 368 yards. Which is a lot of yards at the time, not so much now. By the way, Peyton Manning giving a shout out and some love to Hendon Hooker on the Manning cast.
Yes, he did. And I watched it.
Yes, and Tony Romo probably creating a bit of a distraction. What he said over the weekend about Josh Heupel possibly being an NFL head coach one day. You can go to offthehooksports.com. I did a deep dive on that, Amanda. Yeah, I think Tennessee's fine, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what's in Josh Heupel's heart of hearts, but I don't think that's something Tennessee needs to worry about. What do you think of the Manning cast? And I want to go to the message boards because for some reason I don't have access to it. But what do you think of the Manning cast? I actually had that idea 20 years ago of two dudes. I really did. Of two dudes just sitting around, not Peyton and Eli. Actually, I would have thought they would have been horrible at it. I was wrong. But just two dudes just talking, as opposed to the traditional play-by-play announcer and the color guy. I thought that would work, and I still do. I thought that it could be edgy too. I would make it a little bit more edgier. I'm not saying you got to drop a lot of F-bombs or anything like that, but I think you could. And I think they are a little edgy. They'll make fun of players and like, what are you doing? I wonder what that's doing for the ratings on the other side. I haven't seen that, but what do you think about that?
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I watch it. If I have to pick between the Manning cast and the Joe Buck experience, I'm going Manning cast all day, every day. Cannot stand Joe Buck. Just saying. Sorry. Just don't like him. But I like it. And I like the way that it's the two brothers because they take digs at each other that are like family digs, and it's kind of funny. And it makes Peyton Manning really uncomfortable sometimes. Eli does, because Eli, I think, is the more quick-witted one out of the two. Peyton will just like side-eye him. So
yeah,
it's just funny.
Yeah, the Joe Buck, I think is good at what he does. It makes me think of you disagree.
Yeah,
I think he's good at what he does. I love him with Troy Aikman. And you can tell there's a friendship there. It made me think of my son though, because at one point Joe Buck was addicted to hair plugs. And my son, yeah, that's a thing. Google it.
What?
Google it. That's a thing. And my son came to me, and my son looks like Robert Plant. He has like this long, curly, flowing hair. He's like, an Adonis.
And
And
you want to donate his hair to Joe Buck?
no, he didn't want to do it.
Oh, okay.
But he said he's already started looking into ways to retain your hair. And I did the same thing when I was 17. And he said, because, it's on the mom's side. And Gramps, has lost some of his hair. I'm like, he's 72 years old. You're 17. I mean, you're good.
Yeah, you're all right.
He's going to be fine. I was like, well, I haven't lost any hair. Have I? Then I got insecure about it. And he said, no, man, your hair looks exactly the same ever since I've known you. It's like, well,
Your son said that?
Yes.
Yeah, for 17 years, your hair's looked the same.
It has. I haven't lost any.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying it was funny that he said your hair looks the same ever since I've known you.
Yes.
For 17 years.
I did have my hair salon person quit. And I can't find her. I've tried to stalk her on Facebook because I've only had
very awkward.
I know I've only had like 5 people cut my hair more than 2 or 3 times. Like I've fallen in love with somebody and that's the person. I don't know if you're like that or women are like that, but that's how I am. So I've lost her because the hair salon shut down and I can't find her. And I went to somebody recently and they cut my hair in some shape, form, or fashion that after I took the headphones off, I could see my scalp at the top. And I didn't mention it to you, but it bugged me for like 2 weeks. And it's grown out now. I need another haircut. So that's my plan today, is to stalk her on Facebook again today and try to find her.
That is a super awkward thing to admit live on air.
Well, I mean, I used to stalk teenage boys when I covered college football recruiting.
Whoa. Just say players. Players, not teenage boys.
I know, but
you sound like a creep.
I know, but it sounds a little bit funnier like that. Like, subscribe, and share. Give me 3 or 4 reads off the message board, as Tennessee is number 1, kids. Number 1 in the nation. And Ron Slay's son is going to come up with a dope rap for us.
Dope. Okay.
Is dope
all right
better? Is dope better?
I don't.
What do you
use?
use?
Better than hip. I'm not younger. I'm not a kid, and I'm not a rapper, so it'd be difficult for me to say. But I don't think dope is right. I don't think hip is right. But
Maybe
people are.
Maybe he'll go all freelance. I mean, freestyle.
Let's just stop with this. Let's just stop with. He's not a writer. He's not going freelance. Anywho, it's a lot of people.
Captain Caucasian is here. The 48-year-old man is here.
So awkward. What? Okay. Anywho, a lot of people are saying, "Whoa, Nelly, calm down with your laughing emojis, talking about how you stalk teenage boys."
Well, don't make that a topic.
Well, that's what it says. Nug says he used to have 20-inch long curly locks. It sounds exciting.
And now
people
he's
are.
bald.
I have no idea.
Is he bald now?
Oh yeah, lit. Somebody said lit. That makes better. That makes more sense.
Lit. Yes. Ron Slay's son can come up with a lit intro for us.
Oh, okay. Well, lit's better than I think dope, and dope is better than hip. I think we're just increasing generations. Yeah, here. So let's just.
Let me ask you this. And where do we stand with today's tough question? Let's reset that quickly. And
all right.
If you can read that out. And then I've got a question for our message board folks. And I've got a question for Amanda that I think you'll find very entertaining. And that question is, I'll give everybody on the message board a chance to think about it while we get our votes in for today's tough question. But here it is. What do you think will happen after the college football playoff? What 4 teams, and I know we're Tennessee centric here, but where will the 4 teams finish at the end of the day? Who wins the national championship based off what you have seen to this point in the season? Who finishes 2nd, 3rd, and 4th?
Okay, that's a lot to ask. On
That
the
is.
board.
That is.
We do have a Georgia fan in here now. You know what I don't understand? And Ron Slay slays as far as what his son's going to do on his rap career. What I don't understand is why do you put the W in there?
What W? And where?
In dogs. Like Georgia Bulldogs, you know how they're just the Bulldogs, but they are like, go dogs, DAWGS. I don't really understand that.
I don't know. People do that with Vols. They do VAW.
I know.
Well, I know the reasoning behind that is because it's trademarked. So you can't sell a VOLS shirt, but you can, use terrible enunciation and on a shirt and sell Vols. Which is but
it also sounds a lot like, honestly, it's a Southern thing. Balls, it sounds Southern. I mean, it does, but dogs.
I think they're very similar.
I don't know. I say dogs. There's no W in there.
I certainly don't say Vols.
Well, it's not Vols, it's Vols, and that sounds like a AW.
When I say Vols, how many syllables are in that? 3?
I don't want to count your syllables. I don't know. But anyway, okay. Today's tough question. Which team did the college football playoff rank incorrectly? You had 4 choices. Georgia at number 3, Clemson at number 4, Alabama at number 6, TCU at number 7. The winner right now is TCU with 40% of the votes coming in at number 7. They think they were ranked incorrectly. Clemson is second with Clemson at number 4 is second with 37%. Georgia at number 3 is third with 17%, and Alabama is 4th with 4%. Yes, and why do Georgia fans bark at other people? It's very weird, very awkward.
Have you ever been there for a game as an opposed
I told you
fan?
about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Georgia fans are just absolutely hated by Tennessee fans, which I didn't know for the longest time up until probably like 10 years ago. covered games in Sanford Stadium, thought they were just fine. But the creeping up and barking at people really, really annoys Tennessee fans. But
Yeah,
they're
it
mostly
annoys
there to
everybody.
scare you. It is. So we have a Georgia fan on there. Maybe they can explain that.
We also have a Wilfred that says, I am very annoying. Thank you, Wilfred.
Oh, that's sweet.
Kind of you.
I don't think you're annoying.
Yes.
This
And thank you.
This is what my message board looks like, by the way, just so that you know what I'm looking at. So my apologies for not reading more of your messages today. That's falling on Amanda. City Heating and Air Conditioning is about integrity. cityheatandair.com. They're not going to be one of those groups that say, how about a $49 service fee? And, oh, you need a $4,000 new unit. That's not City Heating and Air Conditioning. Integrity matters at City Heating and Air Conditioning. They service all of the Knoxville area. So we discussed Tennessee being number 1 earlier in the show. I will stand by this. Even if Tennessee loses, I don't think it affects Tennessee whatsoever in how they play on Saturday. I still think they play at a high level. They could make mistakes. They're still young men. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm an old man and I make mistakes. But that could happen, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And I think Tennessee will play well. You have a shocked look on your face. What's going on there?
So sorry. No, I'm just message boards. Travis says I look like Rosita from The Walking Dead. And I was like, I don't know who that is. So I looked it up. That's right on the head there. But anyway, Dean is saying number 1, Tennessee, 2, Ohio State, 3, Georgia, 4, Michigan. That's his ranking because you asked them to give you rankings and how it will end up. Travis, number 1, Tennessee, 2, Michigan, 3, TCU, and 4, Clemson is how he thinks it's going to end up. I think that's the only 2 that we have.
Okay, there we go. All right, and it's time to get to Message Board Bingo. And Message Board Bingo is your opportunity to win stuffs. And what can you win? You can win a prize pack from Owl's Nest Barbecue, which they have all the sauces and the rubs that you could even dream of. They've got the Green Mountain grills as well. Owl's Nest Barbecue is phenomenal. It's in Ooltewah, so if you're driving through, you need to stop in because they've got the expertise. They'll just ask you, what do you like your barbecue to taste like? Then they'll point you in the right direction. Also brought to you by Craft Treats. So you have an option. You can help out your pet, or you can help out your barbecue. That is up to you. So Message Board Bingo is sweeping the nation. Excuse me. The cool part about Craft Treats is they've got organic treats across the board that are awesome. Their crafttreats.com is where you go, crafttreats.com, and use the promo code Off the Hook. That's Off the Hook for 20% off. So make your pet and wallet happy. And they've got the CBD Craft Treats, the chill pills as well. So with the chill pills, you're able to give your pet something that'll help with arthritis, anxiety. How about digestive issues as well? Pretty awesome. Use the promo code Off the Hook for any of the products and you get 20% off. That's a pretty significant savings. And once you try them once, you're going to be a return customer because they're great for your pet. I've mentioned young Thaddeus, who was right here sleeping next to me. He is getting better about jumping up on the bed since I've been more regimented about giving him his chill pills. So it's a 5 p.m. chill pill. It's like a dosage. So I take care of him. Go to crafttreats.com, Off the Hook Sports, or just Off the Hook. I use that promo code and get 20% off. It is time for Message Board Bingo, the game show that is sweeping the nation. This is all on you, Amanda, because, again, I cannot see the message board for some reason. So you can tell me who wins first. A lot on Amanda today between the tweeting and the questioning and being her awesome self, because I've got, for some reason, no access to the message board. So here we go. Message Board Bingo is now.
All right. So this is a loogie game. Drink lots of milk this week and save up your spit. Us fans have to do our part and keep the reputation alive.
I hate that term.
I hate spit. I don't know why, but spit. No.
No, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, that's a bad body excrement. I have no idea who that would be, and I hope somebody gets it quick or we move on because I don't even like thinking about it. You got 8 seconds, kids.
I don't see any messages coming in at all, so maybe the message board just crashed. I don't know.
Or maybe you just absolutely killed it with your spit reference.
Ugh.
Okay, let's go for another one.
Okay. All right. So that was, for everyone listening, that was Georgia.
Okay. So
So guard yourselves.
Yes.
Guard yourselves if you're going in there. I have a friend that played quarterback at Ole Miss, late 89 to 90. He helps do radio for football. He shared a story from the trip to A&M this past week. After the game, in the tunnel outside of the locker room, Lane sees his agent, Sexton, hanging out. Sexton also represents Jimbo Fisher. Lane yells out, "What you doing here? Trying to negotiate Jimbo's buyout?"
Yeah, that sounds about like Lane. Speaking of, Lane's in the catbird seat.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I think he'll turn, based off what I've been told, I think he'll turn down Auburn because he doesn't want to deal with the Yellowwood guy. I know he wanted the LSU Florida job really bad. If A&M comes open, don't be surprised.
I don't know. See, I'm seeing a lot of if Coach Saban retires, Lane's going to take Alabama.
You know, I thought about that yesterday. It's weird you bring that up. I thought about bringing that up.
Scary.
I don't think they would make that move, Amanda, but I will say this. I think it would be a very interesting, good hire in a lot of ways. You have to be willing to trust that Lane has matured. And I'm a little split 50-50 on that, to be real honest with you. You don't want another Mike Price situation happening.
No, you don't. And I think Lane's matured a bit. I don't know if he's matured enough. Is what I think our chat feature is just broken.
Too many people on board. We can actually see the numbers. So this is a record day by far. Maybe it has something.
Too many people. It's just.
Well, let's go with too many people. So just way too many people on the chat board. So it exploded. And we'll get that taken care of. We appreciate you being a part of the program today. And I'm telling you what, Tennessee's number one, and that's no joke. And not should be number one, not maybe number one, but is number one. Tennessee is number one. Go to offthehooksports.com for coverage throughout the day. We look forward to that, as Josh Heupel will be on the SEC teleconference. A lot going on, and I can guarantee you there will be some recruiting reactions. So check out offthehooksports.com.
That was an Alabama fan, by the way. Sorry, we
Okay.
never told them what it was. There you go. Go ahead.
Like, subscribe, and share, and you will be in great shape to get Tennessee content that you just can't get anywhere else. Period. End of discussion. Okay, real quick. Here's how I hope things fall in the coaching carousel, okay? I mean, I assume Eli Drinkwitz is going to get fired. They might just shoot him. But I don't really care what happens at Missouri. So I would say that here's what I hope happens. Not what will happen, but what I hope happens, okay? I hope that Auburn hires Deion Sanders. I think they'll hire Hugh Freeze. I hope that Lane Kiffin goes to A&M because I would like to see what he could do with unlimited funds. Now, the issue there is that Jimmy Sexton got A&M over a barrel with that contract. So they probably don't want to deal with him right now. That's probably not the phone call that they want to make or receive about Lane Kiffin. But here's the thing with Jimmy Sexton. He basically controls all of the coaches, like a vast majority. So you're probably going to have to work with him no matter what. And if you paint yourself into a corner to say, well, he took advantage of us the last time, that's your own fault. and you don't want to throw bad money at good. So you're going to have to work with him at some point. You're the one that threw away the money with Jimbo Fisher. So I want to see Lane Kiffin go to A&M because I know he's not happy at Ole Miss because of NIL and the lack thereof. And then what I would really like to see, because I'm rooting for content and stories, Hugh Freeze with a return to Oxford. Burner phone intact.
How would he return to Oxford if he's already gotten hired by Auburn?
Well, I think that's what will happen. This is what I want to happen. I want Dion at Auburn. I want Hugh Freeze with a burner phone so he can't get caught calling escorts in Oxford. And then I want Lane Kiffin with money behind him at A&M because I want what's best for the conference. I want storylines. And if you find me 3 better, then I'll hook you up with a Hooker t-shirt. How about that? You already have one.
I do have one. And 3 better storylines than that. Yeah, that'd be. Maybe we can have Hugh Freeze at. No, same. I don't know. Anyway, that makes sense. But no, I don't think Deion Sanders. I don't think Auburn's going to offer Deion Sanders the position, and to their own detriment, because I think they're stupid down there. Just saying.
No, I agree. I agree. And they have been. It was Bobby Louder before, and now it's the Yellowwood guy. And you've got one person in control that likes being in control more than he likes winning. And that's
Could you imagine?
Thing.
Could you imagine Deion Sanders at LSU or Florida?
Kill it. He would.
Yes,
kill it.
Please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
He would kill it. He would go out and they would have the resources to pay a coordinator $3-4 million on each side of the ball. He could be
the talent.
He would be a hip Philip Fulmer or dope or what? Lit. Have a fantastic
Skinnier.
one. We'll see you in 22 and a half hours. She's Amanda LaFratta. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of